everything is a skill. And when we're coming from this lens of competence leads to more confidence, everything is a skill. And if you can get clear on what skill you are actually deficient in, you can focus your attention on building that skill as opposed to beating yourself up, which is what we typically do. Hello, if you're new, my name's Courtney. I am a certified relationship coach. I love helping men build more confidence and clarity in their dating life and really embody that masculine energy that creates the polarity, that kind of sexual chemistry that they're after. That's what's going to elevate them from that friend zone type of connection into the relationship that they actually want. I know that you don't want to be in the friend zone. You want to have that juicy, magnetic feeling with a woman that you are equally attracted to. And the reason that that's probably not happening is more energetic than behavioral. That's what I love specializing in. I love helping men understand this whole world of the energy dynamics between the masculine and the feminine that creates the spark, that aliveness, that sexual chemistry that makes dating kind of unique. None of our other relationships have that type of energy involved, or at least to that degree. Obviously, the more you can manage your sexual energy, the more charismatic you become, the more confident you become in the world, and you start creating this feedback loop in every area of your life, which is what makes this work so satisfying for me to watch, is the ways that this work transforms the rest of a man's life. But all that to say, let's dive in. I want to talk about this quote that I remember hearing. I think it was Matthew Hussey back in the day. When I was really struggling with relationships and dating myself before I became a coach, or part of the reason I became a coach is because it was so difficult for me to understand conceptually what the heck is happening. Why is this not working? Why am I finding myself in this kind of like friendly relationship dynamic with people that I'm super attracted to? And also on the other side of it, I was the queen of pushing people away or keeping people at arm's length. And the things that I've learned from being on both sides of that are what makes me so useful as a coach, because I know the experience of both what it would have taken for me to shift my view of the other person that I was kind of like keeping away, the fears that were coming up for me, the things I would have needed to hear and know and understand, and also how I could have spotted myself if I were him. I could have spotted myself differently. And that's kind of what I do with my clients, is help them save a lot of time in spotting women who are not actually available for the type of relationship that you're wanting to create. This can save you a lot of potential heartbreak and time and energy and attention that you can redirect to people who are available for what you want. The other thing is, having been in that space of kind of this like pining and yearning and feeling attached to someone who's not actually giving you attention is the worst, and it will erode your self esteem. And that will play out in every other area of your life as well. So, once we can start to clean this up and unhook you from both of those or either of those dynamics, you've probably been in both of those if we're honest, um, you get to take all of that confidence and move in the direction that you most want. All right, so let's dive in. I remember listening to Matthew Hussey. This was back in like 2016, 2015. And he was all the rage at the time. I think he's still going strong, but I just don't watch his stuff anymore. But he said something. He's the first person that I heard quote it. So I know it wasn't his particular, I'm sure it wasn't his particular thing, but he's the first person that I heard quote that confidence comes from competence. So the more competent you feel, the more confidence you will exude. And this has stuck with me because I have found it to be true over and over again as I have been both moving through the dating space myself and building a business, building a career that I want. Whenever I'm feeling that wobble of confidence and tilting into self doubt, instead of me making it about me and personalizing it, that there's something that I innately am flawed in and need to fix, I have shifted this into, and I had a mentor shift this with me, Leah Lake. Her work is genius as well. But she shifted this into skills. Everything is a skill. And when we're coming from this lens of competence leads to more confidence, everything is a skill. And if you can get clear on what skill you are actually deficient in, you can focus your attention on building that skill as opposed to beating yourself up, which is what we typically do. This is only going to spiral you deeper into shame and self loathing and misery, if I can be transparent, and a lot of just unworthy feelings and thoughts. These are not going to create that magnetic attraction, that charismatic vibe that would give you the oomph to go approach a woman or to text her and say, hey, let's go out on Friday. Whatever the thing is that you are kind of resisting, we need a little bit of that inner oomph to get us out of the state of inertia where we're just kind of like sitting there spinning our wheels. No one wants to be in that state for very long. So, competence equals confidence, or yields confidence rather, and everything is a skill. With those two things in mind, the skills that I really love helping men with is to get clear on yourself. This is a skill too. Self awareness is a skill as well. And I find that a lot of my clients, both men and women, I was coaching women for the last 5 years and recently shifted into coaching more exclusively men because I was realizing all this work that I'm doing with women. If we could actually see each other in our humanness, if men understood the same information that I'm sharing with women about men, if they understood the reverse, how much more successful would these relationship dynamics be? So I created a men's course that was complementary to my women's course and started having men go through that and getting really good results and realizing, oh, they actually need this information just as much, if not more. And that is what I'm here for you to be your guide in. So the skill that we are wanting to build is this self-awareness. And one thing, having sat across from lots of men through the years, in professional, romantic, dating experiences, as well as friends of mine, just talking with them, is that men, in a lot of ways, see things clearly. They can see situations clearly. And yet, the one thing that I perceive that they usually need a little bit of clarification around is themselves. To be able to see themselves clearly, a lot of times when we are stuck in these dynamics that are uncomfortable for us, but we can't get out of, it's because we aren't actually seeing ourselves clearly. Seeing ourselves as the version who is victorious, who has what we want, who is capable of sustaining X, Y, and Z, who can figure this out, who does have the confidence to move forward and really assert for what we need in order to shift things. That version of us needs to come online and almost be our coach in those moments. And this is what we are working on, is gaining that self-awareness so that it includes the positive sides of ourselves. A lot of times my clients are great at knowing where they have room for improvement, and they aren't necessarily clear on where they are already improved. They've made a lot of progress. Sorry, my throat is getting very dry. um, so that is one thing that we really need to work on, is building this self-awareness so that you can see yourself and naturally feel more confident. The way that I walk people through this, I have an inventory that helps people gain their self-awareness and kind of take inventory of the areas that are both positive and challenging, so that you not only are able to see fully the version of yourself that all of your friends and family reflect back to you, this great catch that you are, and start owning some of that, but also these parts of you that make it challenging for you to sustain relationships, to balance things in your life a way that feels good for you, to live in a way that is congruent and where you typically um, drop your boundaries. So we have to actually be able to see both of those and know how to interpret them so that we can maintain our sense of self esteem. It's not eroding our self esteem to do this kind of inventory work. It's actually going to be a natural consequence of confidence. That's what's going to come from doing this type of work. So, knowing what is just human about you, about women, also knowing yourself well enough to know what are your challenges, what are your strengths. Do you actually know these things? And if not, let's work on it, because this is one of the fastest ways to build your confidence, is to start to shift how you're actually seeing yourself. This identity level work is what's going to have you naturally step into a more confident version of yourself that everyone else can see as a result. um, I'm just looking at my notes here because I want to make sure that I'm able to give you everything that I wanted to share today. Oh, yes. All right. The other piece of this is actually learning the skills that relationships require. And I want to caveat this by saying that a lot of times the feminine partner, statistically, is ready to do emotional work. Therapy, the whole therapy industry is a feminine industry. There is no way around that. And the reason that I think there is a huge rub right now, in particular, when it comes to men and women, is because the solutions to the most common breakdowns are often around perception. And if you don't have the skills to be with someone else's perception and their reality, and it's not necessarily a hard skill, it really is a paradigm shift, it's a perspective shift. And this is what I help people with, is this perspective shifting information that lets them reduce the urge to fix or change or resist what's actually happening, so that you can stay present enough and find solutions to move forward. This is when it becomes more comfortable to be in relationships and you can go all in. One of my teachers, Allison Armstrong, said, I think brilliantly, that half of the population, men, are inclined to be problem solvers. They're just focused on the wrong problem. When we are not trying to fix our partner, when we're both focused on the problem, we come up with some really great solutions. And I know as men, you come up with really great solutions to the problems at hand. So I want to be able to reframe this so that you can spot what that problem actually is and use all of that logical, um, intellectual drive to solve this problem on the right problem. When you understand what's different about men and women and yourself and the person that you're across from, when you can start to see that distinction, the problem becomes a little bit more clear and how to handle it becomes a lot more clear, because that's what you're naturally good at. So, one thing that I do want to share is that masculine energy actually grows in the face of challenge. Kind of like if you were going to the gym, right? We're in New Year's right now. If you're going to the gym and starting to lift weights, lift heavier weights, your muscles are naturally going to grow. Having enough testosterone in your body is naturally going to help you build that muscle mass that you're looking for and build the strength over time. The same thing is true when it comes to our emotional and energetic bodies. When the masculine energy is challenged in a healthy way, so not in this overwhelming, this problem is way too big for any one person to solve, which is sometimes how it feels when we have some sort of um, wounding or injury to our energy, our heart space. Typically is why I'm touching my heart here. Typically there are some relational wounds that we need to go in and heal. Once we can clear that up, the challenge then becomes, are we fixing the right problem? Are we solving for the right variable right now? And if not, can we shift our focus just a little bit so that we are? That's when you start getting really great results, especially in your dating life. You get to show up way more confidently when you can come at it from that lens. So the masculine actually grows through challenge. And I think that's really amazing. That's what I love working with men on, because you, as a result, become more embodied in your masculine energy the more that you practice these principles. So, if that's something that you're ready to do and really step into and embody this masculine energy so that you can shift out of the friend zone, shift out of those dynamics where you're either chasing after someone endlessly or keeping people who are interested in you away, let's talk. Send me a message, apply for one on one coaching. I have space available to take on at least 2 people this next month to get started in my program, Rooted. I also have just the content for that, which alone can make a huge difference in your dating life, as well as a masterclass coming up. If you're wanting to understand what's in the pipeline for 2025 when it comes to dating, I'm going to be sharing my perspective as a dating coach and someone who has hosted a podcast for the last 4 years, kind of the trends that I'm seeing come online when it comes to dating. If that's something that you want to get in on, comment below masterclass and I will send you the link to that. Otherwise, feel free to check out this video on what providing actually is and what it is not from an energetic lens. This is a skill that most men need to understand, or this video of the energy that women are actually attracted to. Again, a skill that we can start practicing if this is something that you want to start embodying in 2025. As always, thank you for being here. I hope this helps, and let me know what would be helpful for you moving forward.